Over the years, I've learned some pretty crazy things about girls, and many of these things, once I truly understood them, changed my life forever. And I fully believe that if you listen closely, they can change yours as well. Number one, girls love roller coasters. One of the craziest things that I ever learned about girls is that they absolutely love roller coasters. I'm not talking about the kind that you would ride at a theme park. The type that I'm talking about are emotional roller coasters. Something that I've always wondered was why girls are so obsessed with TV shows like the Kardashians. If you were to give a girl a remote, 9.5 times out of 10, she is going to put the TV on a show like the Kardashians or some other show like it. Funny story, years ago, I knew this girl and I wanted to test her to see how invested she was in me. So you know what I did? I took her to the cinema and I made her sit down and watch an anime movie with me for like 3 hours straight. Because if a girl will sit down and watch anything other than the Kardashians with you for 3 hours straight, you know that she is heavily invested in you. So what you guys have to understand is that for girls, shows like the Kardashians might as well be a drug. Because the effect that these shows have on a girl's brain is basically the same thing. You see, as men, so many of us ask ourselves, why on earth do girls always want to watch shows like Teen Mom or shows like the Kardashians where the whole show is nothing but drama? And it's because girls, in my opinion, love riding the emotional roller coaster. This is why they chase after the bad boys and the chads or the guys who treat them like they don't have much value. So why is this important and how did it change my life? It's important because once I understood the power that emotions have over women, I was able to stop being so predictable and I was able to truly understand why things like pulling away and not chasing girls were so incredibly effective for actually making a girl want to chase you. Always remember this, girls will always be most attracted to the guy who can continually keep her on an emotional roller coaster. And girls will always fall for the guy who is able to keep her guessing, who is able to spike her emotions in ways that other guys can't. Which leads us to number two, girls need to feel something. You see, guys all over the world wish that they had something like a master key when it comes to attraction. And what I'm about to share with you is pretty much as close to this as you could possibly get. Now, something that's really interesting that you always hear girls say about an ex-boyfriend, for example, is that they still have quote-unquote feelings for him. One of the craziest and most profound things that I ever learned about girls is that because females are impacted far more significantly on average than men by their emotions, they choose men based on how they feel about them. So many guys out there have issues with women because they try to logically convince the woman why they're a great catch, among other things. You see, women have and they will always choose men based on how those men are able to make them feel rather than for all of the logical reasons for why that man might be a good catch. So the more that you can make a girl feel strong emotions, whether good or bad, the more that she will feel attracted to you. Now, obviously, it's better to aim for positive emotions rather than negative ones, so always keep that in mind. Now, understanding that girls operate primarily with their emotions allows you to be far more aware of how you are making them feel when they are around you, and that, my friend, is powerful. Number three, girls want guys who have options. Now, one of the craziest things that I ever learned about women is that women want men who have options, period. I remember many years ago that incredible moment when I finally stacked 100 million gold coins in RuneScape. And with all of that cash, boy did I have options. With that amount of money, I could buy pretty much any type of armor in the game, and I could train my skills way faster than other players because I could churn through money in a way that other players just simply couldn't. But you know what all of those gold coins couldn't buy for me? A new hairline. Not really though. The thing that all those gold coins couldn't buy for me was attraction. So many of us who used to play video games all the time or who still play them wish that we could somehow transfer our in-game wealth over to real life, because if you had $100 million in real life, you better believe that you would never have trouble getting attention from girls again. What you guys have to understand is that girls are programmed to choose men who have options. And the reason for this is actually really simple. See, when a typical man looks at a woman and decides if he is into her, the main criteria that he is going to use for this selection process is basically just how good she looks physically. Now, women, on the other hand, women are so much different when it comes to selecting a mate. And women are going to look for things like status and things like pre-selection. So in other words, women want a man who is already pre-selected by other women, or basically a man who has options. Now, the thing with girls is that they know when a man has options because they've been around enough guys who have options and enough guys who don't have options to know how these two types of guys behave. You see, women don't decide if a man has options based on whether or not he is with a girl when they see him. They know based on how he behaves around them. They look at whether or not he does things like validate them constantly, or give them all of his attention, or whether he puts them on a pedestal or not. Now, one of the craziest things that you guys will ever learn about girls is that they want a guy who has options. And unfortunately, no amount of gold coins in RuneScape could have ever bought me options in real life. Now, the reason why this is so important is because a lot of guys can't get attention from a girl to save their life. And it's not because they don't actually have options or other girls lined up to spend time with them, although many guys definitely don't. It's simply because they don't know how to behave like they have options. When you guys chase excellence and when you focus on becoming the best in your field, you tend to naturally accumulate wealth, and you tend to naturally accumulate status and all the things that ultimately lead to you having more options. But before you actually reach that point, you can start behaving as if you already have options. And guys who have options don't do things like freely give away all their attention to girls, and they don't constantly validate girls or supplicate to them. You see, a lot of men who have options, especially younger male celebrities in today's world, they act like arrogant punks towards girls. And although it seems really paradoxical for them to do this because of the things that many guys were taught growing up, this type of behavior actually works, and it's actually something that so many girls find insanely attractive. Now, if you want to be seen as a man who has options, you need to get out there and you need to chase excellence until you actually do have options. But in the meantime, when you don't actually have options, all that you really have to do to make it appear that you do is to pretty much avoid doing all the things that desperate nice guys do for women, such as the things that I just mentioned. Number 4, girls don't work that way. One of the absolutely craziest things that I have ever learned about girls was like the final piece to the puzzle that 99% of guys are typically missing. Now, you see, the way that guys work is that we are naturally visual creatures. So if a girl has a good looking face and a good looking body, we're almost instantly going to feel attraction for her. But it doesn't work like this for girls. You see, if you're physically appealing, girls will feel some initial attraction for you, but the primary way that girls get excited, so to speak, is via communication. This is why in pretty much any community where guys are trying to learn how to be better with girls, there's such a great importance placed on the thing that we all know as game. But game is really just how good you can make a girl feel while you are talking to her. I said in a previous video that girls literally get a high within the reward system of their brain just from talking or from communicating with other people. This is why they are able to talk for pretty much hours on end without even a pause in between. And since I made this video, nothing has really changed. The way that girls ultimately catch feelings for a guy is not by looking at him, but by talking to him. And once you understand this, you will realize just how important it is to have really good social skills and the ability to communicate effectively with women. If you were to look at all the greatest players in the world, or any of the type of guys who make attracting girls seem so incredibly effortless, the thing that they all have in common is that they all know how to communicate and they know how to do it well. Now, number 5 is a little bonus I'm going to throw in here for you guys, and it's that girls just want to have fun. Whenever you guys are out with a girl, never forget that above most other things, girls just want to have fun. The reason that they always go for the bad boys and the players and the guys that are like that is because these guys know how to have fun. So the less boring that you can be, the better. And with that said, this is 4 of the craziest things that I've ever learned about girls. You guys are the best, and until next time, thank you so much for watching.